Hey everybody, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. This tutorial is a long time coming. I have finally settled on a border for the 2016 calendar blanket and now it's finished. I made a very busy calendar blanket last year. It's made up of small granny squares and the color changes based on the temperature of every single day. So I've got 366 squares in this blanket instead of the usual 365 because 2016 was a leap year. So I wanted to make sure that the border didn't detract away from the busyness of the blanket. So after several weeks of consideration and many of your awesome suggestions, I came up with a nice gray, so a calm gray color that won't interrupt the rest of the colors of the blanket, and a really funky stitch called the crossback or the X stitch. I love this pattern. It has an open look to it that mimics the open look in the granny squares, and it almost looks a bit knot-like. I just love how it worked out. I love how it finishes off this blanket, and I did it using the same hook and the same kind of yarn that I made the rest of the blanket with. It's very important that you do that when you put a border on your blanket. Same hook, same fiber that you used to make the rest of your blanket. That said, let's grab our hooks and yarn. You need about 130 to 150 grams of worsted weight if you're using the same kind of yarn that I did for this border, and that's it. We can head to the craft table and put a border on our blanket. I used worsted weight acrylic yarn to make my calendar blanket. So it's very important that I use worsted weight, same size, acrylic, same fiber, yarn in my border. This will ensure that the whole thing will move together when I wash it or block it. I also used a 4.25 millimeter hook, or G6, when I made my blanket. So I'm going to use the exact same size hook in order to do my border. This is also important so that my stitches and tension are roughly the same. I need a yarn needle and a pair of scissors, and that's pretty much all I need. Now I can put my border on. Because I finished my granny square calendar blanket with this block of white that I could sort of chain letter the words calendar blanket 2016 onto, I decided I would start the border in the bottom corner here just so I can show you what it looks like as you work up the raw edge of this single crocheted piece of the fabric. So I'm going to flip my entire blanket upside down. So I'm looking at the bottom corner. I'm going to grab my yarn. I'm going to start with a slip knot. And I'm going to join it in the very bottom corner stitch. Now, this stitch is going to pretend it's a space, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. So I'm going to join my new border yarn with a single crochet. So I pull up a loop and single crochet. And because this stitch is pretending that it's a corner space, and the reason for that, if I pull up the other end of my blanket, here's the top corner of my blanket. This is a granny square, and all other corners of this blanket are granny squares. And when you get to the corner, you've got a chain 2 space. So I need to pretend, for the sake of my pattern, that my little stitch down here is actually a chain 2 space, and it will work out. So here we go. I am pretending that I'm still in a space, not a stitch. I'm going to chain 2 and single crochet into the same stitch, pretending it's a chain 2 space, and now I'm going to forget about it. So this is the raw edge of the single crocheted fabric that I put on the bottom. I'm going to work a single crochet into the edge of each of these rows, and that's nice and simple work. Adding a single crochet border to existing single crochet fabric doesn't really require any special attention. You just see the edge of the row and work a single crochet into it. Okay, there are 9 rows of single crochet in that white piece. So there are 9 single crochets up the raw edge of it. That's pretty simple math, 1 to 1. And now I've come to my first single crochet. So you see how this looks like it's actually a stitch or a workable place? It's not. It's the bottom of the first row of single crochet, so I'm going to skip over this a little bit and I'm going to work directly into the next space, which is the corner space on this first little granny square, and it gets a single crochet. I'm going to single crochet into every single stitch of every single granny square all the way around this blanket. I'm going to single crochet into every space, and when I get to the final corners, so there's going to be 4 corners in total, but 3 yet to work, each little corner space gets a slightly different little treatment, and I'll show you when I get there. Working across where the 2 squares meet, there's a space, so it gets a single crochet, and I'm ignoring the space in between because there's really nothing there. That's just where we attached them. So I'm going to single crochet directly into the next space. So it's pretty easy. Single crochet in every real space, single crochet in the top of every real stitch, and where your 2 squares butt up against each other because you join them, just ignore it. Single crochet into the 2 spaces that sit next to each other, but nothing in between. And I'm going to do this all the way up this first side. I'll see you when I get to the top corner. I've worked a single crochet into every space and every stitch all the way up my long side. I've arrived in my first real chain 2 corner, and I'm going to do what I did in the bottom stitch where I started. So into that chain 2 corner, I'm only going to work single crochet, 2 chains, and a single crochet. That is my corner. And remember, this is just sort of a foundation single crochet row to my border. I'm setting up the border for other things, so I want to use a nice basic small little stitch. And that's it. I'm going to work a single crochet into every stitch and space all the way around the blanket, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into every chain 2 corner, and that'll eventually bring me back round to where I started. This was my last bottom corner. I worked a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into it right here. Did my single crochet all the way across the bottom 2 squares, and then where it transitioned into that single crochet, that should say the single crochet fabric I made, I just single crocheted right into the first stitch, and in each stitch all the way across the bottom. And that brings me up to the far corner where I started. So there's my single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all worked into that same stitch, which I'm pretending is a chain 2 space. I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet I made, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that corner, because you know me, I like to start things in a corner space, and that keeps me going all the way around in the same direction. And now the fun part of this border. This is a border based on the double crochet stitch. So I'm going to chain 3 to begin, and this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. And into this chain 2 space, I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet. So that is what each chain 2 space, or the 4 corners, are going to get in this row. So the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, which means that each space gets 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and that's how I treat the corner. And here is that nifty little X pattern. This pattern is based on a multiple of 3, so any multiple of 3, but it's very important that you have a set of stitches to work across that's a multiple of 3. So every set of 3 is what these X's are going to be worked into. So I know, because I counted, that everything from this stitch all the way up to the other corner and across the top and bottom and the other side, these are all multiples of 3, so it's going to work out neatly. Into the first stitch, I'm going to skip it. So take a look at your set of 3 stitches. Skip the first 2, so ignore, find the third one, double crochet into it. Chain 1, and now back up. Here's the middle stitch, here's the first one you skipped, that's the one you want. Now you're going to double crochet into it. So it helps if you try and keep your yarn a little on the loose side. So this is a basic cross back stitch, but it has the lovely little habit of looking like an X when we're done. So let's look at that again. Here's the next 3 sets of stitches. So this one was worked. See that? It's always helpful to pull up on your first set of the 3. You don't want to use this stitch by accident, so put that aside. Find the next 3 stitches. So there they are right there. Those are the ones you're going to work. 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip the first 2, double crochet into the 3rd, chain 1, and then back up. So there's the middle stitch, there's the first of 3, we're going to double crochet into that one. So let that yarn really flow through your fingers for that 3rd stitch, because you want a kind of long base to your double crochet. There we go. Alright, let's look at the next set. So we'll pull up a little bit. That stitch was used, so we're going to skip that one. Find the next 3. So there's the 3 we're going to work. Skip the first 2, find the 3rd, double crochet into it. Nice long double crochet stretching across those 3 stitches. Chain 1, because that's the middle of your X. You see that? That keeps your X nice and flat across the top, matching the bottom. And now back up. Skip the middle stitch, find the first one you skipped, and double crochet into it. Pull up a little bit more than you normally do, make that a nice long double crochet, and there you go. We have an X pattern happening. X, X, X. I'll show you that one more time. So we pull up, that's the stitch we worked, we want to skip that one, find the next 3, skip the first 2, double crochet into the 3rd stitch. Nice long double crochet stretching over top of those 3 stitches. And now back up, oh sorry, chain 1. Oh, I got a little knot there. It's okay, I'll hide that later. Skip the middle stitch, find the first one you skipped, cross back, and double crochet into it. Nice, easy, long double crochet. Right, and that is the cross back X stitch, based on the double crochet, worked across a multiple of 3, any multiple of 3, and that's what I'm going to work all the way around my blanket. When I get to my corner spaces, I'm going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and then continue with the X pattern. And I'll see you back round at the beginning. I've just finished the bottom of my blanket doing my nifty little cross back X row. Here I am back at the beginning. So I've worked my last X across my last set of 3 stitches. I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3 that began the row. And I'm going to add one more row of single crochet, and that will finish off this nice unobtrusive little open work border. So I'm going to slip stitch across to the chain 2 space so I can start in a corner. Chain 1 to begin the row, and into every chain 2 space, just like the first row, I'm going to work single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Then I'm going to single crochet into the top of every stitch. So these first 2 are double crochets from the last corner. And every X consists of a stitch, a chain 1, and a stitch. So I'm going to work the single crochet like this. Single crochet in the first stitch, so the first half of the X. Find the space that the chain 1 creates between the 2. Single crochet right into that, and then into the top of the stitch that finishes the X. Let's see that one more time. So here's the next X. I'm going to single crochet into the first half of the stitch. Find the chain 1 space that is created between the 2. Single crochet right into that, and single crochet into the top of the stitch that finishes the cross back X. And there you go. Very simple. So single crochet into every stitch, single crochet into every little chain 1 space in between. When you get to the chain 2 corner, work single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner space, and I'm going to do that all the way around. I've worked single crochet all the way around the entire blanket, working single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in every corner, and I'm just joining with a slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet I made, and I'm done. I'm going to grab my scissors, snip my yarn, fasten off, and then I'm going to weave in my little tail here with my yarn needle. Now, if you get to this point and you want to block your blanket, go right ahead. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can stretch it out on towels on the tile floor. Very important that it's tile and not carpet or wood. And grab your iron and steam block it. Or you can gently wash it. Either if you've used acrylic like I have, you can put it in the washing machine on a gentle cycle. And you can gently wash it and then lay it flat on some tiles, again on some towels on tiles, to dry flat, and you can pin down your edges to the towel, and we've got a couple of tutorials on that, so if you need help you can look for those on our channel homepage. And that is it for the 2016 calendar blanket. I absolutely love how this turned out, and I guess now all I have to do is work on 2017. And that is it for the 2016 calendar blanket. I love how it turned out, and now I'm going to go find the perfect spot to display it so I can enjoy all the work I did last year. That's it for this week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed making this border along with me. Until next time, stay safe, stay crafty, and have an awesome week. Bye!